Tonight we're going to talk about a different way of looking at the world and your relationship to food and how you are going to use that to get healthy. We're not here necessarily to lose weight. I know that's why you've all probably came. We're here to figure out how to get healthy. This is a medical supervised immune modulating anti-inflammatory program, and you lose weight. All right? The losing weight part is a byproduct of getting healthy, and that's what we really want to talk about, is getting healthy. We're going to redefine how we approach inflammation, immune suppression, because most chronic diseases are inflammatory and an immune system problem, from diabetes to hypertension to cardiovascular disease, you name it. It's all from an underlying cause, starting with an inflammatory process in the body. And so we need to modulate that process to get healthy. And again, in the meantime, we'll lose some weight. We got to be willing to change. That's the first thing. Everybody's here, so I assume that means you're willing to change. All right, let's look at the problem. If you look at this map, it's from 1985. A lot of states were not reporting at this point. The light blue reported about 10% obesity in the states. The little darker blue was 10 to 15. And you notice there were states reporting obesity any higher than that in their states. Well, as we march along, notice what happens to our map. This is 20 years ago. This is 15 years ago. This is 10 years ago. In less than a generation, look what's happened to the obesity rates in this country. We've gone from 10 to 15% in about 20% of the states to over 30% in a third of the states, and everybody else in the 25% range. It has become an epidemic. Why is that? I mean, what has changed in our lives? What's changed in our lifestyles? What are we doing differently? What's happened to our food sources? Et cetera, et cetera. It's an epidemic, guys, and that epidemic causes chronic degenerative diseases in our bodies. So that's what we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, in 2011 is what the government always does when it doesn't like the results. It changes the criteria. So we can't even compare the map from 2011 on. They changed the criteria for reporting obesity in the states. But we do know that it's continuing to rise. 39 states are reporting 25% or higher. These are self-reported. As you can see, in the Midwest, we're at almost 30% in 2011, where in a generation ago, we were less than 10%. Again, self-reporting in 2011, kids are getting heavier. Look at the kids. Look at people talking about what we can do about our kids. Play 60 to get them moving, to lose weight. It's an epidemic even among kids. Reported all over the place. Fats all over the place. Fat attacks, how fat cells are waging war. We're going to talk about those fat cells, how we deal with them, what we're going to do with them. Obesity increases inflammation. Fat, in deep stored yellow fat, and we'll talk about that, increases the inflammatory response in the body. It's this spare tire here. It's this area here that we're storing that yellow excess fat, and it is extremely inflammatory. All right, some of the things are coming from the inflammation. Fatigue, chronic fatigue, depression, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, osteoporosis. What does osteoporosis have to do with? Osteoporosis is an inflammatory disease, believe it or not. Fibromyalgia, all the autoimmune diseases, neurologic diseases, allergies, skin disorders. We can all link it back to inflammatory responses in the body. Inflammatory triggers, from viruses and bacteria to wear and tear from physical abuse to substances to suntans to tobacco to allergies. All of them are triggers for the inflammatory response. Dietary deficiencies, liver problems, detoxification problems. All of those are triggers for this. Again, just kind of looking at what triggers all this: sedentary lifestyle, stress. Huge one here, guys. We don't get our stress under control, what we're doing tonight is not going to work as well. So part of what we're going to have to deal with is the physiologic response in our body of stress and how it makes you fatter and what we can do with that. Obesity from toxins, BPA, that type of stuff. All of these can affect our fat layers in our body. We're going to talk about lifestyle medicine 1 inch at a time, making a little bit of change here and there, adding that little bit of change, and all of a sudden you get some huge change. This is not a miracle drug. We're not going to give you penicillin tonight and wipe out a bacteria. We're going to make incremental changes in our health and in the way we approach things. All right. One of the things that I'm going to mention, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but are we eating because we're hungry, or are we eating because it's an emotional thing? Food is tied in with so many things. We eat happy. We eat when we're sad. We eat when we want to go out with fellowship with other people. We eat at holidays. We eat when our husband got mad at us. We eat, you name it. It's tied in with eating, and eating becomes an emotional response. And one of the things that you'll find with this program is we're going to be talking about the hypothalamus and how it regulates all the hormones in the body, and how all of a sudden you're stripped bare of some of that emotional baggage that you got to deal with to actually progress, because you're going to be stripped bare of some of this eating habits, and you're going to say, I'm eating, I'm not hungry, but I'm eating because I'm angry, or I'm upset, or I'm depressed. And that's okay, but we got to deal with it. We have to figure out what we need to do to deal with it, and then move on, because there is so much emotional baggage with food and eating. Food's a wonderful thing. It's a marvelous thing. Let's use it as a celebration in our life, but let's not overdo it and use it for a crutch in our life. All right. How many of you have tried to lose weight in the past? How many of you have lost weight in the past? How many of you have gained it right back in the past? All right. How many of you have been told this thing by your doctor or your friend? Calories in equals calories out. What you eat is how much you're going to weigh. And how many of you believe them? Well, I'm here to tell you, there's nothing farther from the truth. And we're going to talk about why that doesn't work. Why counting calories, reducing calories is not the way we're going to lose weight here, guys. And we're going to do some of that, but it's not what counts here, because your response to food, depending on your fat stores, is totally different than somebody who doesn't have the fat stores. So you can eat the same thing and gain weight. And how many of you know that that's the case with you? All right? It's absolutely true, and we're going to talk about that response. And we felt bad about it. We felt angry about it. We've been depressed about it. And I'm here to tell you, it's strictly a physiologic response, and we're going to change. And in that change, we can get freedom from it.